The Key is a derelict space station, long abandoned by the United Colonies, that orbits the planet Suvorov in the Crick system. It's the headquarters of the Crimson Fleet, a bunch of space pirates and space raiders that prey on everyone else in the settled systems. Everyone knows where the Key is, but the Crimson Fleet doesn't have to worry about anything because they have dozens of pirates that shoot anyone on sight when they arrive in orbit around Suvorov. And UC SysDev, the branch of the UC military that's tasked with destroying the fleet, doesn't have enough evidence about their criminal activities to get rid of the Crimson Fleet legally. If we come here on our own, without having a pretext for it, it's unlikely we'll get inside. We'll probably be destroyed. But once we get the Rook Meets King mission, we can freely walk the Key, browse through a variety of shops that these pirates have for us, and sit down for a spell at the Last Nova, which is the bar aboard the Key. One day while exploring the Last Nova, we bump into a woman named Jessamine, and she needs our help.
Hey Cap, you hiring? Got some baddies on my tail and I need a place to lay low.
Why are you being tailed?
I'm a smuggler. Making enemies comes with a job. This time I got in over my head and made one who's more dangerous than me.
Depends on who's after you. I'm not interested in making enemies.
I suppose I can't rightly blame you for that. It's the Varoon Zealots. They've been on my tail a while. And they're easy enough to avoid in places like this, but I'm history if they see my ship cruising around the space lanes again.
Who were the Varoon Zealots?
They're a group of cultists who operate on the edges of known space. Real nutjobs. They shoot at just about anyone who comes near them. They're big on grudges too. That's how I ended up on their radar.
I don't hire just anyone. What kind of skills do you have?
Oh, I'm a real scrapper. Good in a fist fight or in the gunner seat. Doesn't matter to me so long as there's a strong drink waiting when the fight's over. I've also got pretty sticky fingers, if that suits you.
Her dialogue doesn't exactly make it clear, and my portrait is covering her skills. Sorry about that. But Jessamine here comes with rank 1 of theft, rank 1 of concealment, and rank 2 of ballistic weapon systems. But remember, as we went over in my last crew story, companion perks at the moment are sometimes a bit broken and oftentimes give us benefits in unexpected and hard to understand ways. Now at this point, we could turn her down and say, sorry, you're on your own. I don't want anything to do with Varoon Zealots. Or we can have her join our crew by saying, that doesn't sound so bad. You're welcome to join my crew.
If the Varoon Zealots don't sound like a problem to you, then I can't wait to see what you're made of.
The price to hire Jessamine here is 27,000 credits. Or we can try to pass a persuade check. Since I'm doing you a favor, I think you owe me a discount on your salary.
Wouldn't be much of a smuggler if I wasn't willing to cut a deal, would I? Let's hush it out.
Who knows how long it'll be before you get another offer?
Don't think I'm desperate or anything, but you do have a point. You're a good negotiator, Cap. I'll cut you a deal.
With that, her price goes down to 13,500 credits. And we can say, I pay a standard salary. I hope that's all right.
Sure, fine by me. I'm looking forward to the adventure.
With that, Jessamine Griffin officially joins our crew, and we can assign her to our ship.
Sounds like a plan. Let's catch up later. Thanks again for the save.
Now that she's a crew member, we can find her wandering our ship.
Need me for something, boss? Hey, thanks for interrupting my daydream.
Do you have anything interesting for me, Jessamine?
Sure, thought you might need this.
Jessamine can periodically give us a gift. In this case, she gave me a stack of credits. Do you mind if I ask you some personal questions?
Thought you'd never ask, Cap.
Where are you originally from?
Gagarin Landing. Your average dead-end mining town. Economy's crap, planet's hostile, locals don't like strangers. You get the drill. Not exactly New Atlantis. I grew up on the street with a handful of other orphans. We got by on pickpocketing and scamming passing pilots at the local market. Wasn't it a bad life, really? Street living was tough, but I liked it there. My gang and I had lots of good times. If the smuggling bug hadn't bitten me, I might have grown old on Gagarin.
Gagarin Landing is on the planet Gagarin in the Alpha Centauri system, so it's a hop, skip, and a jump away from Jemison. Gagarin Landing made a name for itself during the Colony War as they manufactured mechs, presumably for the Freestar Collective, which is odd since it's in UC space right next to Jessamine, the headquarters of the United Colonies. Not exactly sure how that happened, but since the Treaty of Nerion, when mechs were banned, the town has come on hard times.
I remember watching shiny new mechs rolling onto ships at the port. Been a long time since then.
Why is no one talking about bringing back mechs? City was fine before Freestar banned them.
Many people are out of work, and a bunch of new companies have flown in to take advantage of the situation, much to the chagrin of the locals who live there.
You want to know what I think about all these new businesses buying up the town? No comment.
Incidentally, in my game, it was one of the most beautiful planets I've ever seen, with some of the most interesting fauna. I can see why she liked it here. Well, Jessamine, will you tell me more about your gang?
They're the finest group of vagabonds in the settled systems. None of us had stable families, so we stuck together on the streets for safety. Some left when we grew up, but those of us who hung around became the terror of Gagarin. By the time we were teenagers, there wasn't a clean record among us. We drove security mad for years between the stealing, the vandalism, and the grifts we pulled off. Good times.
Mind if I ask what's on your criminal record?
Not a bit. A record's a badge of honor for a girl like me, Cap. Security has booked me for petty theft, vandalism, and attempting to sell contraband. Never done hard time, though. A few weeks in jail, nothing serious. My gang drew the line at violent crime, so we mostly avoided hefty sentences.
Are any of them still in Gagarin?
Yeah, they are. Some stuck with a life of crime, but a few turned legit and opened businesses, or got jobs for the corporations that moved to town recently. Not my bag, but I don't hold it against them.
I took Jessamine to Gagarin Landing and we walked around for a bit. I was hoping she would bump into one of her friends or we would get some additional dialogue from her, but that didn't happen. She, like Marika and many other of the non-Constellation companions, actually has very little to say outside of this dialogue tree. We have a number of options to respond to this, but I chose to pass a neon street rat check to say your experience on the street sounds a lot different than mine.
Sorry to hear that, Cap. I've seen enough of the settled systems to know I hit the jackpot as far as a childhood on the streets goes. I wish you had too.
Do you have any idea what happened to your parents?
Nope, not a clue. They left me in a box outside Chunks when I was a baby and haven't tried to find me since. They didn't even bother to give me a name. People just called me Kiddo until I was old enough to pick something different.
Have you ever thought about moving back?
Sure, might retire there someday, but that's a long ways off. I'll make do with the occasional visit for the time being.
It doesn't sound like the kind of place most people would want to grow old.
Gagarin's an acquired taste, I'll give you that. That's what I like about it.
How long have you been a smuggler?
Been a while now since I got into the business. First hopped on a trade authority ship at 18 and I've been working the space lanes ever since. I was lucky enough to work with one of the best smugglers in the galaxy right from the get-go. We made tons of credits scamming and running contraband together. She retired a couple years back and passed her operation on to me. Been flying solo since. Not nearly as much fun, but I make do all right without her.
Did she pass on her enemies to you too?
She did, but I made plenty of my own too. Caitlin's too smart to get wrapped up in a mess like I'm in with the Zealots. She'd kick my arse if she found out.
What types of goods did you typically smuggle?
Mainly drugs and contraband tech. My partner Caitlin also had a thing for Earth antiquities. Books especially. When we could get our hands on the real thing, we sold them to collectors who were rich and powerful enough to keep law enforcement's eyes off our operation. When we couldn't get real ones, we forged them. Caitlin was great at it. We ran that scam for years and never got found out.
Will you tell me more about your smuggling partner?
Oh, Caitlin's got a real interesting story. She comes from a rich family and her parents had a thing for collecting ancient art. She was set to inherit a fortune when she grew up, but life with a silver spoon didn't suit her. She ran away from home as a teenager to start smuggling. Knowing her now, you'd never guess she came from money. She's as rough around the edges as I am, but she never lost her taste for expensive stuff from Earth.
What kind of things from Earth did she collect?
She has a large book collection. Her prized possession was a book called Paradise Lost that she came across by chance in Aquila City. Personally, I never got through more than a few pages, but to each their own. She insisted it was brilliant, and she's a hell of a lot smarter than me.
How did the two of you meet?
I tried to scam her. Some buds and I used to steal cargo from the Gagarin spaceport and sell it back to its owner for a higher price. Most people fell for it, but not her. Instead of a handful of credits, she showed up to meet us with 2 armed spacers to demand her goods back for free. I stepped in to negotiate, got them to drop the guns, and even managed a few credits for the stuff. Caitlin was so impressed that she offered me a job on the spot.
Well, it seems like the two of you got along well.
She's like a big sister to me. I wouldn't trade her for anything. It's too bad she retired before you had a chance to meet her. I think you'd get on well. Jeez, listen to me going on. All this reminiscing's got me feeling like a real sap.
Well, Jessamine gave us plenty of details about her former partner, Caitlin, to try and track her down, which is what I did. I went to the bookshop at Aquila City to see if the bookseller there had any memory of selling books to Caitlin, but she didn't, and I didn't find any evidence of her at Gagarin. Jessamine here says that she retired, which means she's probably just enjoying her book collection or adding to it. I couldn't find any other evidence as to where she might be or if she's even in the game. If any of you happen to stumble upon this Caitlin, maybe in a random encounter, let me know in the comments below. Well, sounds like a pretty exciting life, we can say.
It was. Damn good thing this job turned out to be a decent substitute. I might have split by now if it wasn't. Varun zealots or not. Anything else you wanted to ask me? I've missed small talk. I could do this all day.
How'd you end up with Varun zealots on your tail?
Bad call on my part, honestly. I ran into a group of them at a spaceport and thought I'd try my hand at stealing some stuff from one of their ships. House Varun stuff sells for a pretty penny to the right people, but it's hard to come by. The zealots caught me red-handed and chased me out of town. They've been on my tail ever since. Can't go a week without getting shot at. That's why I was hanging at the quay when we met. Only place I felt safe, really.
Why is that? Is the Crimson Fleet not a fan of them either?
Cap, no one's a fan of those nut jobs. I don't know many spacers who could survive a close encounter with a Varun ship. They're lethal. Most people who hang out at the last Nova walk around armed, that's all. Figure that would give me a better shot at survival if the Zealots came calling.
Do you think they'll ever give up?
Doubt it. The Zealots are unforgiving to say the least. Guess that means you're stuck with me, eh?
Do you know anything about what the Varun Zealots believe?
Only stories. I've heard they're a religious cult that worships something called the Great Serpent. It's supposed to live in the stars or something. Their leader's supposed to have dreamed the whole thing up during a grav jump. Guess he had some hallucination where the Great Serpent spoke to him. Don't know if any of that's true, though. No one I know's had a conversation with one of them.
And we have Andrea standing right here. Sadly, she doesn't have any interaction with this particular part of the conversation, even though I'm sure she probably would if she could hear it. Well, we'll steer clear of them if I can help it, we can say.
Glad you've got your head screwed on straight. None of their stuff's worth the trouble of getting it, even for a pack rat like you. Better to leave well enough alone. Let's talk about something else. My skin's starting to crawl.
I don't have any more questions right now.
We should do this again sometime.
Despite this conversation, having her as a crew member doesn't appear to increase our chance of encountering Varun Zealots than we already have. I could be wrong about this, but I flew around with her as a crew member for about an hour, and I only got one encounter with a bunch of Varun Zealots. And annoyingly, she didn't have anything to say about that particular encounter. Now, we found her on the quay, the headquarters of the Crimson Fleet, and the Crimson Fleet are a bunch of space raiders. So, naturally, it shouldn't come as a surprise to any player that we could, of course, optionally choose to destroy the Crimson Fleet. If we do, however, Jessamine has no reaction. She doesn't talk about that choice after we make it back aboard our ship. If we take her to the quay after destroying the Crimson Fleet, she has no further dialogue. If we take her to the UC Vigilance, the flagship of UC SysDef, which is tasked at destroying the Crimson Fleet, she has nothing to say. However, If we destroy the Crimson Fleet before getting Jessamine as a companion, we actually don't miss out on our opportunity to recruit her. Instead, we find her sitting at the bar at Gagarin Landing, her hometown. She probably has different dialogue if we find her this way, but I recruited her long before I destroyed the Crimson Fleet, so I couldn't capture that footage. But if you missed out on your opportunity to recruit Jessamine, you've still got another chance. Head to Gagarin Landing, and she should be there drinking and watching her back for Varun zealots. Jessamine is a great companion with an interesting story that I feel could have been expanded upon. I feel like there was a lot of room to work here on her story that simply wasn't realized. What do you think of Jessamine Griffin? Did you recruit her in your game? Do you think that her perks are good complementary perks for the other crew members aboard your ship? Or do you think she's better off at one of your colonies? Let me know in the comments section below. I publish new Starfield videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss out on my next one, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have already, but you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a merch shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in another way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. Memberships give me a stable, predictable income, and it's one of the best ways to support me and my channel. YouTube members get little badges that appear next to their names in the comment sections of my videos, and they gain access to Ox emojis that they can use in my video comments and in the live chats of my live streams. You could also consider giving me a super thanks on this video. Your super thanks directly contribute to the production of these videos. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more Starfield lore and more live streams.